Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Melanie Gonzalez, VP of Product Development here at EPSG, and today I'm going to go over some steps to make your POS implementation as smooth as possible. At this point, we've seen lots of NCR Silver deals come through, and we've learned a lot. So we'd like to share what we've learned with you. And so we've gathered some tips and tricks as well as best practices to make your merchant's POS installation a success. In today's presentation, we'll be going over what happens next after you submit the deal. We'll go over the Silver Concierge process. We'll go over some good-to-know items, what information is needed to set up the back office, what information is needed to set up the equipment on site, how to gather some training preferences to ensure that training goes as well as can be expected. We'll go over the inventory formatting and the template and some best practices on checking over the inventory before it's submitted and entered into the back office. We'll go over some common hurdles to avoid by industry type, and then we'll go over some resources for you to obtain status updates on your deals. So after you've submitted the contract, we'd ask that you collect some basic information to help this process get started as soon as possible. So a lot of times when a contract is submitted, we collect the owner's information. And as you know, the owner of the business is at times very difficult to contact. So if there are additional folks that we can contact at the merchant's location to set up training or the back office or ask questions about how to set up NCR Silver, please collect those contacts' information, obviously their phone number, their email, so that way NCR Silver can call additional folks to collect the information that they need to ensure that the process is going in a timely fashion, and that we're not wasting time because NCR can't contact the owner. So if whoever is going to be responsible to set up the POS, if we know who those folks are, if you can pass that information on to us or NCR Silver, that would be greatly appreciated. If the merchant speaks a language other than English, such as Spanish, NCR Silver has concierge representatives that speak Spanish, and again, knowing that information up front will ensure that the right concierge rep is assigned to the account. Menu and inventory. So these items are critical to getting the account set up. We ask that you submit that information as quickly as possible and that the inventory is clean, the menu is clean, and we're going to go over what items are needed in that inventory and the formatting that's required later on in the presentation. We'll need to know the go live date. So when does the merchant expect to go live with the POS? Sometimes that date, they don't know that date up front on the contract. As soon as you know what date the merchant wants to go live, please make sure you submit that to us, and we'll make sure to let NCR know so that all of the back office is set up in time to have the POS ready to be live. How many stations will the client be using? A lot of times we've gotten deals where the number of stations change. So you may review the setup with the merchant, and initially they say that they'll have one station, but then a week later they change their mind and they want another station. So obviously that will impact the hardware that needs to be deployed. So as soon as we know that information, as soon as you know, please let us know so that we can get started on ordering that additional hardware. And does the client have a dedicated network, or will they be using a hotspot? Always good to know up front. You can't use a hotspot for pro subscriptions, so it's important that that be communicated up front to the merchant. Here's the overall concierge process flow. So once the account is handed over to concierge, a rep is assigned, and the merchant will receive an email and a call within two business days of the deal being submitted. The merchant will be asked to attend a group training session where they will be walked through the entire system. We really like the fact that NCR does that up front, and they don't wait until the account is set up to do that. Knowing how the system works up front helps merchants to know all of the features and functions of the POS and make sure that they're inputting as much data as possible so that they're getting the most out of their system. So knowing about their loyalty system, knowing about the customer database, feature functionality, knowing about what items are or what fields are required in the inventory, all of those things will be gone through over the training session, and it's great if the merchant can attend that up front. Once that training session is complete, then the concierge team works on inputting the inventory and the menu, and the VAR information then gets set up, obviously, so they can accept credit card. And then at the end of the cycle, the concierge team gives the merchant the option to have a one-on-one session. At that time, they can do a training session with staff, employees, folks that will be in charge of managing the location, etc. So again, several different training options are available. Once the account is deemed live, the account is then handed over to NCR Silver Customer Care, where merchants have access to support 24/7, 365, and they can call, they can text, they can chat through the back office, and they, of course, can email. The back office. So NCR Silver will need certain information to set up the back office. It's good if you let the merchants know that they are going to receive their credentials via email, and they'll need those credentials when concierge walks them through the process and setting up the back office. So it's great if you can let the merchants know that their credentials are going to be sent via email and that they should be aware of that and have that available for the concierge. Verify that the VAR sheet has been sent and make sure we know if it's EMV so that we fill out the VAR sheet correctly and we board it on the proper platform. Know your tax rate, or if there are more than one tax rates. So again, that's something that the merchant should know and have ready for concierge. If the merchant wants to accept other payment methods such as gift card, that should be discussed with concierge, and also the need for menu items to be submitted and inventory list. Is that a requirement? And is the inventory ready? All of those things should be discussed prior to concierge even talking to the merchant. Having a good data is imperative to having your account being installed as soon as possible. And we'll be going over the formatting later on in the presentation. In terms of installation on site, it's important for concierge to know how many stations will the client be using on site. Will they be a quick service or table service? If two or more stations will be used. Do they have a Mac Mini? And it's not only the Mac Mini that they need. For setup purposes, they need the server, the Mac Mini server. They also need a keyboard and a monitor. Once installation is complete, they do not need to keep the monitor or keyboard on site, but the server always needs to be on site. Does the client have a dedicated network, or will they be using a hotspot? Again, for Pro only, if using a server or a Mac Mini, you can't use a hotspot. And always good if the merchant knows their network speed. Obviously, the faster the speed of their network, the faster the system will work. How many printers will the client be using? And make sure to delineate between receipt printers and kitchen printers. Kitchen printers need to be, if there's more than one, they need to be networked and routed to the modem. And receipt printers, obviously, if they're being used with Pro, those would be connected via Bluetooth to the iPad. Formatting of inventory. So it's essential that merchants put in that extra effort up front and they go through their inventory list. Submitting bad data will severely slow down the process, so merchants should always check for duplicates, drop digits, etc. On the menu side of things, that's always best to submit as a PDF, a Word doc, an Excel doc, or a CSV. All clients need to include a special list of modifier items and upcharges if they're not listed on the menu. At a minimum, NCR Silver needs to know category, item name, and price for all items. On the retail side of things, this information is best submitted as Excel or CSV. Handwritten and or scanned PDF is very hard to read, and then at a minimum, we need the category, item name, and price on inventory documentation. If the client's associating barcodes with their items, they should always be aware of any leading and trailing digits. We've seen leading zeros disappear several times when converting from your existing POS, and that causes a huge headache for merchants. So it's always good to be extra diligent about your inventory list and to just go through and look for some discrepancies between the information that's in the existing POS versus what's downloaded. If you can just take a little bit of extra time in the beginning, that will save you from a lot of headaches during the implementation process. No matter which format, there are character limits, and they should be known. On the category side, you're limited to 10 characters, the item name 20, the description is 30 characters, barcode is or SKU is 20 characters. Any variations, there's 15 characters for that field. On the modifiers, you're limited to 20 characters, and the vendor information, you're limited to 40 characters. Training preferences. So there are a lot of training resources that NCR makes available. Before we went over the fact that concierge offers a training session in the beginning of the concierge process and at the end. Sometimes what we do is we'll collect information from the merchant about the topics that they want to spend extra time on, the topics that are important to them. Some merchants want to know everything about the loyalty system, the email platform, the Punch and Points program that's already included with their software subscription. They want to know about reporting. They want to know all the reporting that's available and how they can manage their inventory. They may not want to focus on loyalty at all, or they may not want to do a big training on all the reporting. So again, if they are very specific and want to customize training and they want to focus on certain topics, please let us know, and we will convey that to NCR so that NCR will customize the training to best suit the merchant. There are also several training videos that are available. I suggest that merchants definitely know where and how to access these. So that way, if there's a lot of information conveyed during the training session, they always can go back to the videos at any time and look up the information and refamiliarize themselves. Here's a snapshot of the inventory template. We've already gone over a lot of the character limitations, but again, it's good to let the merchants know the more data you put in, the more you're going to get out of the system. The more reporting is going to be available, the more robust the information that comes out of the system will be. It helps to have merchants make better business decisions on their inventory, and obviously the ROI and sales reporting. Very good to know. Example, how much their unit cost is versus what they sell it for. All that information, the more that they put in, the more that they're going to get out of their system, and the POS really will do what it's meant to do, which is virtually manage their entire business end to end. So this information is readily available in the product kit. I would suggest sending that to merchants so that they get a heads up of what information is required on the inventory, and that, again, super essential for column D to be double checked against what information is in their existing POS to make sure that none of the leading or digits at the end have been dropped in the download. Super important. Tips by industry. On the boutique retail side, it's always good to review and encourage participation in the concierge process. Let them know the benefits of concierge, that NCR Silver is the only POS, cloud-based POS provider that offers these concierge services. A lot of times merchants are on their own in terms of implementation and installation, so NCR Silver really provides that backup for them to get their system up and running. On the boutique and retail side, again, the power of loyalty is super critical to having a successful business. And as long as it comes with the system, you might as well know all the perks about it. And I would suggest that merchants pay extra attention to the loyalty program available in NCR Silver. If you can let them know the formatting for the inventory lists, that would be great. Save some headaches later on. And then always be an advocate for training. Again, there can never be too much training on the system itself. So make sure your merchants make themselves available. We've seen several merchants that have actually requested not to be trained at all because they've had POS systems and they think they know how it works, and it's caused issues when they actually go live. So encourage training and be an advocate for that, so that the merchants really understand what the system can do and they take full advantage of what the system can offer. On the small grocery bodega side, again, we've seen a lot of issues with the inventory list. We've seen duplicates cause delays in implementation, things like that. So again, checking that inventory list and making sure that it's accurate is crucial. Always encourage participation in the concierge process and advocate training. And on the QSR restaurant side, again, encourage participation in the concierge process, submit clean menu and the modifier list. Ensure merchants understand the Mac Mini requirements. Those are spelled out clearly in the product kit. And then ensure merchants understand the kitchen and receipt printer connectivity and requirements. Again, that's Bluetooth on the receipt printer side, and kitchen printer side, if there's more than one kitchen printer, that has to be routed and connected to the modem. And always be an advocate for training. EPSG is here to help. So the product department has weekly calls with NCR Silver to get status updates on your NCR Silver deals. emails will be sent to you with updates on where the account is in the concierge process. So we have this sample merchant set up here. Let's say we received the contract, the desired go live date. We'll let you know if concierge has spoken to the merchant yet. Has the equipment been shipped? A lot of times we'll have tracking information ready and available for you. Has the inventory or menu been input yet? We'll make notes here as to whether or not there is inventory or whether NCR has successfully input the data. Has the VAR been received? This is super critical for you to know. If the VAR information sometimes is received, NCR doesn't receive it for some reason, we have to resubmit it. We stay on top of that. We make sure that the VAR is submitted, received, and input, and we will let you know the status of that. And then we'll let you know, has concierge trained yet? And then we'll also have the information if live transactions have been submitted. NCR will go into the system and say, yes, the merchant is live, they're submitting transactions, and they've been converted over to customer care at this point. So we're always here to help. We have lots of resources for you. On the pre-sale side, if you have any questions, feel free to contact product. Our Getting Started questionnaire, so that's all the questions today that we put into this presentation, we've combined into one sheet. Again, if you can collect that information from the merchant, pass it on to NCR Silver, that will help to make implementation go smoothly. VAR questions, if you have any questions as to whether it's been submitted or the status of whether NCR has completed the VAR and tested transactions yet, you could always ask us and we'll let you know. And then status updates. Obviously, if the account is escalated in any way, we'll be providing updates to you as we receive them, sometimes more than a daily basis, depending on where the issue is. Otherwise, at minimum, you will get updates once a week when we have our status update call with NCR to let you know where the merchant is in the process. Okay, I wanted to thank everybody for attending today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to product. In the meantime, happy selling.